What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So we had talked previously, about a week or so ago, about the Joy-Con controllers having a price drop in Japan. Now it looks like it's been made official for North America, with Nintendo of America actually announcing it online. We'll talk a bit about that here today. Also, the PlayStation 5 DualSense controller got out a bit early. We had an unboxing and even some tests around what it can work with outside of just the PlayStation 5, and brace yourselves for a second here, because believe it or not, that Fire Emblem Anniversary Collector's Edition is already being sold online for crazy amounts of money. I know, right? Shocking. Guys, if you enjoyed these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton. And if you're brand new here, hit that red subscribe button down below. And we're going to start today with a tweet that was sent to me quite a bit because there seemed to be some confusion about what it could be. And that has to do with the PlayStation 5 and, of course, expandable storage for the system. We know that it's 825 gigabytes currently, but obviously some of that's being taken up. We think it's about 650 or so gigabytes is what you will have that's usable, and based on what we're seeing some of these games currently end up being, with file sizes exceeding 100 gigabytes at times, a lot of us figure we're probably going to have to upgrade that storage relatively quickly, within the first year even. It's very possible. So when we see this tweet here, for example, this was sent out by Marlin Gaming Nation. PS5 SSD price spotted at Walmart, it begins, and this is for a PS5 500 gigabyte SSD drive at $115. Now, I was wondering if Sony would decide to partner with a company of some kind that can provide an NVMe drive that they can brand and then put out there with 100% compatibility, no questions asked of, oh, is this the right speed for read, write, any of that, because they will put out, I guess apparently, before release, a whitelist of different NVMe drives that we can purchase and will absolutely work, that they've already confirmed. Still waiting for that list. We'll be going over it here or on the second channel, so stay tuned for that one. What this appears to be, it seems to line up with that Seagate SSD drive that's currently available for the Xbox, also at $115, and that's a 500 gigabyte. So what I look at this as is an external SSD drive that you would plug in through USB, because I have seen those NVMe drives be a bit more pricey. A 500 gigabyte one, for example, is around $130 to $140, with the 1 terabyte being closer to $240. Also, we were supposed to have Apex Legends coming out this year for the Nintendo Switch, and it's all supposed to be going to Steam. It's still going to Steam on November 4th. That was announced, but they had some words about the Switch version as well. You can see that here in this blog post that they put out with an update saying, for those who game on the Nintendo Switch, we're still hard at work on the port, but in order to do justice to the game and make it into the great experience Switch players deserve, our team needs more time. This year has brought on unexpected new challenges, to put it mildly, and we don't want to rush anything out. Switch owners can expect to get their hands on Apex Legends next year, and of course, when Apex Legends does launch on Switch, it'll come with support for cross-platform play, our latest seasonal content, and full feature parity with other versions of the game. So it seemed kind of obvious, I think, to a lot of us that we were running out of time for different games that are supposed to be coming out this year, and some of them were already delayed, like No More Heroes as an example, but like Bravely Default, we're still kind of waiting to hear about. Apex Legends is just another one that's being pushed to, I'm going to say, the first half of next year. I don't think it'll be in the back half, so I'm thinking like March as an example. Keep in mind, it is a free-to-play game, so they can basically drop it whenever. Like, they don't even need a massive run-up to it to be like, oh yeah, you're going to have to spend $60 on this game. That we've seen like these surprise drops, like Fortnite as an example at an E3, because it's free to play. They just have it go live on the eShop. So we'll see how long it takes for Apex Legends to come out. I'd rather it not come out buggy and broken and all of this, so they can take their time with it, and when it's ready, I'm sure they'll just drop it with a pretty short run-up, I would say. Oh, and here was something that was pretty funny to see in the news. We had Xbox Series X fridges go out to different people. No, like an actual fridge. Seriously, check that. iJustine got one, for example. Snoop Dogg got one, and it looked like it was the actual Xbox Series X, just in that meme form where it was a fridge that people had photoshopped it into a kitchen, and it looks like when you open it up, it glows green inside. And look, the one thing I'll give Microsoft right now, they're very good at social media currently. They lean into a lot of the memes, they play around with it. Remember when the Series S got badly leaked online well early, well ahead of when Microsoft was going to announce it, and they played around with different memes, with kind of making references and jokes to it, and then they just announced it at like 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. So they're very aware, I think, of some of the way some of these jokes and all this work on social media, and they kind of play into it. They make fun of themselves with it, and it's good to see them not take themselves too seriously in what is basically the world of video games. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. We're starting right away with the Nintendo Switch Joy-Con getting a price drop. Now, the funniest thing about this, by the way, which we're gonna go over the tweet here first, just so you can see the context of it, is Nintendo of America tweeting out, starting on November 9th, single Nintendo Switch Joy-Con controllers will be available for purchase for $39.99. Choose from the left Joy-Con controller in neon blue and the right Joy-Con controller in neon red. You can see a picture of them down there, all of this. Yes, like I said, the funniest thing about this, a lot of people didn't realize that you could already buy these separately. Like, I don't know what happened. I feel like Nintendo just didn't stock them enough and people just forgot about that. But when these were first announced alongside of the Switch itself, when we found out accessory pricing, and remember, people got a little crazy about that because it seemed like everything was pretty expensive. I mean, a pair of Joy-Con controllers was $80. That's not cheap, but the single Joy-Con controllers kind of threw people through a loop even worse. They were $50. But no one remembers that, it seems. A lot of people figured they just, I guess, stopped stocking them. They kind of forgot, and we moved on to now where they are doing a price drop down to $40 on each one, and that kind of makes more sense. It was always weird to me because a pair was $80, but like separately they were $50, so it was $100 to buy those separately. And it's not like you got better choices for different color combinations. From what I remember, they matched up just the same. It's just, oh, if your Joy-Con stopped working or had issues or, I don't know, started drifting, you would buy it separately with just one. Maybe Nintendo is looking around at what's happening currently with their own lawsuits that they're dealing with and just they're reading the room. They're saying, wow, yeah, people are buying this for drift. Keep in mind, though, you can, of course, send it in under warranty depending on your region, and they should cover it and replace it for you. I think a lot of us were hoping that the next Joy-Con announcement would be about some sort of revision. However, I am still curious at times whenever we hear about these Joy-Con announcements, these different releases of them, if they do kind of a silent change or revision inside. I don't think they can fix the problem outright currently with the current form factor of it. They'd probably have to play around with it. They probably would have to do a full revision of it, to be honest, to fix the current issue with the Joy-Con controller itself with that joystick. But I am curious enough to go pick one up and see if there's been any change. Usually you can look on the box, see if the model number of the Joy-Con is different, and if it is, maybe there's a revision of some kind with the joystick inside. It has been a while, so you never know. But yes, Joy-Con controllers now down to $40, so what a steal. Next up, let's talk about that PlayStation 5 DualSense controller, as Austin Evan got a chance to unbox it and even try out some of the functionality. Obviously, he didn't have a PS5 at the time. We have seen PS5s now start to go out to reviewers, but when he was filming that unboxing, he did not have access to one. So he tried connecting to a couple different things with varying levels of success. For example, hooked it up to the PS4, didn't quite work. The microphone did. The system sold as a wireless controller, but because, of course, Sony wants their controllers to kind of stay separate, the PS4 and the PS4 generation and the PS5 and the PS5 generation with their controllers, it just didn't work out. But the microphone could still seemingly pick different things up, and that would kind of make sense, as at least the system would be able to recognize the microphone itself inside. However, when he went over and hooked it up to, say, his Pixel 5, it worked. So it seems out of the box anyway, currently, the DualSense will function with your phone, even working with something like xCloud, which is kind of weird to think about that. And you know what? I bet you Microsoft will add some kind of compatibility with the DualSense, considering it's already compatible with the DualShock 4, and the DualSense will obviously succeed the DualShock 4. They'll probably stop selling the DualShock 4 in like a year to year and a half or so, and that'll slowly phase out. So Microsoft clearly should move to the DualSense as well, but it seems to already work. And then on top of that, Austin also decided to take it and sync it up to a Surface laptop, and it worked there as well. So like right out of the box, it already works with a couple of devices you might already have. Now on the second channel, I talked a bit about some of the inside of the controller because he managed to rip the back off. Didn't go much further than that, and I don't really blame him because it looks like it could turn into an entire thing with parts all over the place. Then you go, well, how does this go back together? So I get it. That's certainly not something you want to tackle all right there. But the other thing that he mentioned was that it's not actually all like super like white. It actually has kind of like an off gray color around the edges with, of course, those PlayStation symbols all around it like we had seen previously in some very close-up pictures of it. So altogether, it looks like right out of the box, it will be able to do some things outside of just the PlayStation 5, but naturally, most of us will be hooking up to the PS5, and that's probably where it will end, unless you really enjoy the controller and you decide that you want to use it on your PC or your phone. It seems like you can do that. Next up, let's talk about the world of video game scalping, because it seems like the latest victim is that Fire Emblem 30th anniversary edition, the special edition that came out and was announced, and we have pre-orders for it, of course. It looks like those sold out right away. In fact, I was watching, I was curious, like, oh, maybe we can pick one of these up. It's $50. Sure, it doesn't come with the cartridge, but the pieces around the game code that was in there looked pretty cool. Like, they had Nintendo Power in there, they had like the replica game card. I'm like, this could be kind of neat to have for the collection. And it was gone immediately. Like, I didn't even really see the button change much. I think it kind of went out, it went like gray to like sold out right away. And once I saw that, I said, yeah, these are probably going to be on eBay in a few hours, and wouldn't you know it, there they are. And then I thought, okay, well, people won't really buy this, but nope, they're buying it. I went over to sold listings, and you can see some of those here. Yeah, $150 at times, $160. Some of them are a little lower, like $130, but like that's already triple the price of $50. And this is where that limited release kind of has an issue, because now we're looking at this and thinking, well, there's already a time limit on. In fact, if a lot of these people were a bit smarter with it, they would just hold it until April and then post it. And I bet you'd be 4 to 5 times the amount that it currently is at $50 new. Here's the thing, Nintendo said they will continue to restock these, or at least they will add stock to stores, and I hope that happens. I hope we do see these really flood the market. But it is, keep in mind, a special edition thing, and I doubt they're gonna make a crazy amount of these for what is essentially a Famicom game that they're bringing over already for a limited time digitally. This is just reality situation with this. We all saw this one coming, I feel like, but like triple the price already, and it's just going to continue going up. Keep that in mind. So if these keep selling, a lot of these scalpers will just continue to buy them as they become available anyway until they're just all gone. And we know when that happens, it's gonna be the end of March. So yay, limited releases. It's always a good time with that. To be honest, my best advice with this is to probably just wait till after Christmas. Keep in mind, the game itself, $6. So you buy that and you can at least play it, and then you can kind of keep an eye on this to see if maybe over time, specifically after Christmas, like February or March, just leading up to when it is supposed to be discontinued, if Nintendo really does come through with what they're saying, that it just gets flooded and restocked, and then you can find it for less than $100. I think it's gonna be very difficult at any time to find it for $50, so I guess shoot for less than 100, and that's probably gonna be the good spot to buy it. Also, I will make mention, people were telling me that GameStops in their area still had some in stock at the time when they announced it, so it might be worth calling or swinging by if you are looking for this anniversary edition, just to see if they have any extra set up for pre-order, because you might get lucky with it. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about retail boxes for next generation consoles, the PlayStation 5 and that Xbox Series S. We've already seen the Xbox Series X retail box like crazy. There was an unboxing online. I think another one happened where people got it early again. So we've seen that box plenty of times, but the Series S, that's kind of interesting. And then the PS5 itself, of course, started going out to reviewers just ahead of this past weekend, and some of them even set it up next to their PS4 box. And that was kind of an interesting thing to see, because we can see just how much larger that PS5 box is. It's kind of tough sometimes to kind of get a scale for it, but check this image out here, for example, that was floating around online that shows just how much larger that PS5 box is compared to the PS4 box. That's the original PS4 box that came out, of course, in 2013. The PS5 box is significantly taller and much, much deeper in terms of its overall depth. I think the PS4 box might be the same width of it, but yeah, that PS5 system, very, very large, as we expect. We figured there would have to be a pretty large cardboard box that you get with it, but then on the flip side, we go over here to this image that was making the rounds as the Xbox Series S starts to find its way into different retail stores in the back with warehouses, and it looks like that box is going to be fairly small. Again, that is expected because the Series S is actually pretty small. Again, these systems are kind of hard to get a scale for, and I think the Series S will be one that really surprises people when they have it in front of them, or if you see it at a store and it's kind of on display. It is a pretty small system, and seeing the retail box itself in person might be another kind of surprise, just how small it is. But yeah, PS5, massive system, massive box. That's not surprising. And then the Series S, it's just, we're to the point now where a lot of us are just kind of hanging out with our pre-orders, and we're just waiting for these systems to come out. So seriously, even like the retail box itself being shown online for the Series S is a big enough deal to cause a lot of interest online in the news. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from How You Doing, saying, remember when people begged for 2K to compete with Madden? I remember. Okay, so this is for the 2K with the unskippable ads. Now, the biggest thing with this, the reason 2K is able to push that, the reason EA is able to push as much as they do is because they're basically the only game in town. If you want to get an NFL football game that's simulation, you're buying from EA, you're getting Madden, that's kind of it. Like, that's all you have access to right now. If you want a good, say, basketball game, because EA, I don't know what happened to NBA Live, that thing's just gone now. Maybe it'll come back at some point, but you're getting 2K. So they're both kind of separated right now, and they're pushing and pushing with microtransactions, loot boxes, and different ways to get more and more money out of you, despite a $10 price increase, by the way, into next gen. $70 games with crazy microtransactions and unskippable commercials. It's just, that's why people want either company to kind of find their way into the opposing company's, we'll say, monopoly when it comes to their different games and their genres and, of course, their sport. So let's say 2K starts making a football game, EA can figure out basketball and NBA Live. The competition could have these egregious microtransactions and unskippable ads maybe not exist as much, because there would then be a place for, you know, the gamers to actually go and pick up instead. But with a contract like we have with the NFL and EA just not even really caring about NBA Live anymore, this is what we get. And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit the like button, it really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything talked about here today. Whether it is the Joy-Con price drop, that a single Joy-Con now is $40. Let me know if you were someone who didn't even realize they were being sold separately, because they were basically never stocked anyway for $50. Also, what about that DualSense controller? Are you thinking about picking it up, maybe even just for PC instead of the PlayStation 5? And then the Fire Emblem 30th Anniversary Edition, did you manage to get one, or are you now someone looking on eBay looking at these $150 price tags, like, it's just hoping that Nintendo really comes through with that restock? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.